Alright, folks, I'm here today to talk about the Star Wars. Now, as we all know, the Star Wars is not really my favorite pop cultural construct. Now, I did a video a while back sort of criticizing, the Star Wars pop cultural warmock for being, vastly overrated and just really being, mediocre children's cinema, which has somehow inspired entire pop cultural complex. It's a consumer grade, really, entire sort of industry unto itself. And, there's a lot of adult fans, and the movie came out in December and made a zillion dollars. And I finally got around to watching it. And, the thing about the Star Wars movies is I've watched them before, but I haven't actually, really gotten into them. I'm one of those guys where unless a movie absolutely captivates me, I just tune out completely. I break open a notebook, I do something else. I'm just, kind of just having the movie on as passive background noise. And I never sat through any of the prequels. Even the first three films, I've never actually seen them all the way through. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces. I've had it playing on in the background, but I just can't get into them, You would have to make a concentrated effort to tie me in a chair to get through it. There's just something about them that just comes off as just really hokey and uninteresting and completely, plastic. And with the latest movie, The Force Awakens, and I didn't see it in a theater, so take a wild guess how I saw it. Wink, wink, this ain't getting my money. And just watching it, I kind of had the same thoughts that I have when I watch stuff like, The Hunger Games, and especially the last Hunger Games that came out, or Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles, or even really, the last Avengers movie. That it's not really a film designed to be good. I mean, it's a complete pop cultural, product. The idea is to, whet your appetite, build it up, and basically be a segue to yet another movie. I mean, that's really the entire point, basically, is to create this gigantic, tapestry of film as a commercial commodity. I mean, that's the whole point. The whole point of The Force Awakens existing is to be a setup to a whole bunch of more movies. So it's not really, great film writing, not a great script. The acting's pretty corny, even for contemporary mainstream Hollywood standards. And the whole point, of course, is to, reintroduce the characters, get a couple of new protagonists in there, and then, of course, turn around and, spiral it off into an endless array of toys and video games and special consumer products, limited time only sodas and candies. Standard operating procedure. Alright, now for the film itself, just as a guy, and I'm actually in a pretty good position to review it, because in this case I'm not a fanboy. I don't have an attachment to the older films, so I'm able to actually enjoy it, or not enjoy it, more like it. But I'm actually able to sit here and watch it and really kind of, interpret it and take it in and evaluate it on its own merits, and not just see it as, Star Wars 7. Okay, here's my thoughts. The film looks pretty good. I mean, the special effects are nice, but there's something about the CGI. Even though they spent all of this money and Disney bankrolled, how many hundreds of $1 million into it, maybe it's just me, but I thought the special effects still looked kind of cheesy. I don't think they're really on par with the best special effects we have today. I mean, you go and watch something like Ex Machina, which is a film that had maybe 1/10, maybe 1/20th the budget of Star Wars. But I thought the practical effects and visual effects in that one were way more impressive than what we saw in The Force Awakens. And yeah, even Fury Road, I thought the special effects, especially the CGI there, was way better. So that was the first thing that really kind of, took me aback, was it does not look as good as a lot of its contemporaries. So, and another thing with the film, I'm not really a big fan of J.J. Abrams. I never really watched Lost. I didn't care for the Star Trek reboot. it's clear that he's a guy where the entire time that he's directing it, and I'm not, did he write the movie? Well, whoever wrote it is clearly a fanboy, and he's trying to kind of set it up with the mentality of, I want to write a movie where if you're a fan of the franchise and you're watching it on opening night and you're with a bunch of other fans, I want to do everything to make you mark out like it's a pro wrestling event, right? So the entire script to me just seemed absolutely like dotted and punctuated for spots, where instead of, making a comprehensively great movie, it seemed to me like the script was, okay, we're going to have a bunch of setup, then a really great moment designed to elicit like applause from the audience, then more exposition, setup, rinse, repeat. So it feels less like an actual narrative than it does just a series of events that are designed to be nostalgic throwbacks and win the crowd moments. And it just kind of becomes boring. Like the first time you see Harrison Ford and Chewbacca, like the first time, what's her name, Carrie Fisher's introduced, and C-3PO, when they show up, and there's like the part where the one guy, the stormtrooper dude, picks up a lightsaber for the first time, and they're all designed, basically to have the fanboys on opening night just go woo and freak out. And the thing is, on subsequent viewings, you can't really watch it as an event picture. You don't have like all the secondary things going on. So you're just watching it by yourself, and it doesn't have the same effect. You see it as being really, really pandering, where it kind of comes off like not as, okay, this is intended, to really move the story forward. You're just like, oh wow, that works for the audience. But watching by myself, it really gets no reaction whatsoever. And there are a ton of moments like that in the movie. So another observation. Okay, now as far as the script, it's a merger of the old and the new. Obviously, you got this wannabe Darth Vader guy, and I'm sorry, the fact that it's Lena Dunham's boyfriend from Girls, just absolutely, I can't take the movie seriously. I think it's terrible casting. You just look at him and you're like, no, you're the guy from Girls. You're the guy who drinks milk while taking a dump. I just can't take it. It's like having the guy who plays Al Bundy play the Emperor. I mean, yeah, he might be a good actor and all, but just looking at the film, like, I can't distance him from this one character. So I think it's a pretty bad move on itself. So obviously you got Harrison Ford coming back. You got Carrie Fisher, and Carrie Fisher, God bless her. I mean, she's had some rough years because it's not that she looks bad. It's that her voice just sounds so like raspy, like she's been smoking a Persian rug every day since The Empire Strikes Back came out. It's just really rough. She sounds like Melissa Etheridge. So I mean that's a tough thing to get through. And of course you got the droids, and you got the new protagonist. You got what's her name? Daisy Ridley, whatever her character's name is. Ray Lewis, Ray Cruz, whatever her name is. She's the protagonist, and the other guy is he's a stormtrooper. Now the thing that's interesting about this movie is that both these characters, I believe, are English, and Daisy Ridley has an English accent. But why anyone even has an accent in the Star Wars universe? And there's like a guy with like an Irish accent too, like really palpable, like Eurocentric accents, and you're like, why do these people sound like they're from the British Isles on like Neptune or wherever they're supposed to be from? It's just one of those things that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, and the Stormtrooper guy, he's also British, but he's trying really hard to not have a British accent. I guess it's like a dictate from the producers that you can't have two competing British accents in the movie, so you have this British guy trying really, really hard to sound like an American, and every time a British guy tries to sound white, it just comes off as really weird, and the guy playing the Stormtroopers movie sounds like Carlton Banks. I mean, it's really, really egregiously bad. And it's one of those other things, it's very small and it seems petty, but it really takes you out of the movie when you notice that. And, I mean, so the acting, it's very melodramatic. All the punches you see coming from a mile away. Harrison Ford's going to die. I mean, the set pieces are okay. Overall, the pacing of the movie, it's very stilted, very predictable, very paint by numbers. But, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of needless nostalgia. The part where they go to the cantina And a lot of the characters, to me, like the CGI guys, are just not working. Like the really evil dude that what's his name is taking the shots from. He looks like the dude from Hannibal. You know, the guy that like cut his own face off, except worse. And that's a movie that came out with practical effects in 2001. And the big bad in this one just looks absolutely just awful, like not even remotely convincing. And there's like another character, like another alien woman person who looks like a librarian, who's like kind of a historian who talks about the Empire and the Sith, and another major character, and just doesn't work for me. It looks really fake and phony, and the special effects, like I said, really nowhere near as good as it should be. Actually, shockingly not up to par, considering the franchise and the money pumped into it. So I mean, the acting is pretty hammy. All the scenarios are very predictable, very, very melodramatic. No surprises. You see everything from a mile away. And, you know, like I said, I mean, it's not really a movie. It's just basically a setup to a different movie. That's the whole point of the movie existing, is to make another movie. So, of course, it ends with the cliffhanger where you find, what's his name? Mark Hamill. He's living on an island, and he's all beardy. And he gets the lightsaber, and he's the only person that can fight the Empire. And it's basically just the same thing as Star Wars. The exact same plot, except a little bit more glossy. So, all that to say, I did not like the movie. I thought it was just kind of a very sort of banal, forgettable, paint-by-numbers movie. Really no different than the Hunger Games or Divergent or the really lower-tier Marvel movies. I mean, they're all the same to me. I mean, they're just, you know, consumer products designed to set up extra movies and make products and, you know, result in, you know, more soft drink deals. So, good cinema, not even remotely, you know, on the docket. Just very, very basic. Storyline by committee, not a whole lot of artistic merit, not going to think, not going to really even be impressed with special effects. So what is there to the movie? Well, you know, not a whole lot. I mean, it's passable. I mean, I didn't absolutely hate it. I think it was the worst movie ever. But at the same time, I just kind of walked away from it like, well, that was kind of below average. That's what all the hype was about, you know, all the money spent on that, billions of dollars. The entire, you know, pop cultural worship, the fact that it's one of the biggest, like, media complexes in the world where it generates billions of dollars a year. This is what all the hullabaloo's about. This is what all the hoopla is about. You know, sorry, you know, heading into it, I didn't see what all the hype was about, and walking away from it, I still don't see what all the hype about. So that's it. That's my review of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. A lot of people liked it.